Let me tell you something powerful today. The people who doubt you right now, the people who laugh at you, the people who think you are finished, they are not ready for who you are about to become. Right now, maybe you are struggling. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you failed publicly. Maybe people saw you fall, and they think that fall defines you. But they don't understand something. Failure is something most people fear, avoid, and try to hide. But if you truly want a comeback that shocks everyone, you must change the way you see failure. Failure is not defeat. It is training. It is preparation. It is education that life gives you when you are brave enough to try. Most people think successful people win because they are lucky or talented. But what they do not see is the number of times those people failed before they succeeded. When you fail, it does not mean you are not good enough. It means you are not ready yet. And not ready yet is very different from not capable. Think about it carefully. Every skill you admire in someone was once weak. Every confident person was once insecure. Every expert was once a beginner who made mistakes. The difference is simple. They did not run away from failure. They used it. Failure gives you feedback. It shows you where you are weak. It shows you what you must improve. It exposes your gaps in knowledge, discipline, and patience. If you are humble enough to accept it, failure becomes your personal coach. But ego turns failure into pain. Ego whispers, you look stupid. People are judging you. You should quit before you embarrass yourself again. Growth whispers something different. Growth says, good. Now, you know what to fix? When you fail an exam, you learn what you did not study. When you fail in business, you learn what the market does not want. When you fail in relationships, you learn where you lack maturity or communication. Failure always carries information. The question is whether you are strong enough to receive it. Many people stop at their first or second failure. They think it is a sign from the universe to give up, but often it is just a test of commitment. Life wants to know how serious you are. If your dream disappears after one rejection, maybe it was never a real dream. Real dreams survive rejection. Failure also builds emotional strength. When everything goes well, you feel confident. But that confidence is fragile because it has not been tested. True confidence is built after you fall and stand up again. When you survive disappointment, you realize something powerful. You are stronger than you thought. This strength becomes your advantage. The person who has never failed fears risk. The person who has failed and survived understands that failure is temporary. This makes you bold. It makes you resilient. It makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Failure teaches patience. In a world that wants instant results, patience is rare. But big success requires time. When you fail, you are forced to slow down, reflect, and adjust. You begin to understand that mastery is not built in days. It is built in years of consistent effort. Failure also removes arrogance. When you experience setbacks, you become more aware of your limitations. This awareness keeps you learning. It keeps you improving. Arrogant people stop growing because they think they already know enough. People who have failed understand that learning never ends. Your comeback will shock everyone, not because you never failed, but because you failed differently. Instead of being ashamed, you analyzed. Instead of blaming others, you took responsibility. Instead of quitting, you adapted. Every failure is like paying tuition to the university of life. If you drop out after paying, you waste the lesson. But if you stay enrolled, that tuition becomes an investment. Imagine two people who both fail. The first person says, I am not talented. The second person says, I need a better strategy. The first person attacks their identity. The second person adjusts their method. One becomes insecure. The other becomes improved. Failure is not about who you are. It is about what you did. And what you did can always change. If you treat failure as defeat, you shrink. If you treat it as training, you grow. Training is uncomfortable. It pushes you, it stretches you, it forces you to face your weaknesses. But that discomfort is shaping you into someone stronger. One day, when people look at your success, they will not see the hidden failures behind it. They will not see the nights you questioned yourself. They will not see the adjustments you made quietly. They will only see the result and think it happened suddenly. But you will know the truth. You will know that every rejection made you sharper. Every mistake made you wiser. Every setback made you tougher. Failure did not break you. It built you. A real transformation never starts on a stage. It starts when nobody is watching. This is something many people do not understand. They think change must be announced, shared, and validated. But the most powerful growth happens quietly, away from applause and attention. When your comeback truly begins, it feels lonely. There are no cheers. There are no encouraging messages. There is no guarantee that what you are doing will work. You wake up early while others sleep. You work late while others relax. You say no to comfort, entertainment, and distractions, and nobody thanks you for it. This silence is not a punishment. It is a test. Life uses silence to check your intentions. Are you working because people are watching, or because you believe in what you are building? If nobody ever notices, will you still show up tomorrow? This question separates people who talk about change from people who actually change. Most people want visibility before results. They want recognition before effort. They want respect before discipline. But life works in the opposite direction. First comes effort, then results, and only later recognition. Silence is the space where effort is built. In silence, you meet yourself honestly. There is no audience to impress, no image to protect, no story to tell. It is just you, your habits, and your choices. This is uncomfortable because excuses stop working when nobody is listening to them. You cannot perform discipline. You either have it or you don't. Silent work forces consistency. When you post progress publicly, sometimes you stop growing and start maintaining an image. But when nobody knows what you are doing, you are free to make mistakes, adjust, and improve without pressure. You focus on progress, not perception. Silence also builds patience. Big changes do not show results immediately. When you work quietly, you learn to trust the process without external validation. You stop asking, is this working every day, and start asking, am I improving? This shift changes everything. Many people quit during this phase, not because the work is too hard, but because the silence feels uncomfortable. They mistake lack of attention for lack of progress. But growth is invisible before it becomes obvious. Like roots growing under the soil, the most important work happens where no one can see it. Silent effort sharpens your character. When nobody is praising you, you learn to motivate yourself. When nobody is checking on you, you learn responsibility. When nobody expects anything from you, you learn self-respect. These qualities cannot be taught by words. They are built through quiet repetition. There is also less distraction in silence. No opinions pulling you in different directions. No comparisons draining your energy. No pressure to move at someone else's pace. You move steadily, focused on what matters. You build skills instead of chasing attention. When people talk too early about their plans, they often confuse talking with doing. They receive praise for intention. And that praise reduces the hunger to act. Silence protects your hunger. It keeps your goals raw and alive. In silence, discipline becomes natural. You stop relying on mood or motivation. You create routines because results depend on them. You show up even on days when you feel tired, doubtful, or uninspired. This is where real transformation takes shape. Quiet work also builds confidence differently. Loud confidence often depends on validation. Silent confidence comes from knowing what you have survived and what you have built. It is calm, stable, and unshakable. You do not need to prove anything because you know what you are capable of. One day, results start to appear, slowly at first, then clearly. People begin to notice. They ask questions. They say you are lucky. They say you change quickly. They did not see the months or years of silent effort. They did not see the discipline built without witnesses. This is why the comeback feels shocking to others. It looks sudden, but it was quietly prepared. While others were watching, talking, and waiting, you were building. While others needed approval, you needed progress. Silence does not mean hiding. It means prioritizing growth over noise. It means letting results speak when the time is right. By the time people notice, foundation is already strong, the habits are already fixed, and the mindset is already transformed. Motivation feels powerful in the moment. It gives you energy. It gives you excitement. It makes you believe that anything is possible. But motivation is like weather. Some days it is strong and bright. Other days it disappears without warning. If your progress depends only on motivation, your progress will always be unstable. Discipline is different. Discipline does not care how you feel. It does not ask whether you are inspired, tired, bored, or emotional. Discipline simply says, do it anyway. This is why discipline beats motivation every time. When you rely on motivation, you act when you feel good. When you rely on discipline, you act because you decided to. That decision is more powerful than emotion. Emotions change quickly. Decisions, when taken seriously, create structure. Most people wait to feel ready. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect situation. But perfect conditions rarely exist. If you only work when you feel inspired, you will work very little. The people who build strong comebacks are not the most motivated. They are the most consistent. Consistency is born from discipline. Discipline is waking up when the alarm rings the first time. Discipline is finishing what you started even when it becomes difficult. Discipline is choosing long-term benefit over short-term pleasure. It is not glamorous. It is not exciting. It is often boring. But boring actions repeated daily create extraordinary results. Think about physical training. If someone exercises only when they feel motivated, they might train once or twice a week. But if someone trains every day at a fixed time regardless of mood, their body transforms. The difference is not talent, it is structure. Discipline removes negotiation from your life. When you set a rule for yourself and follow it without argument, you save mental energy. There is no daily debate about whether to work, study, or improve. It becomes automatic. This reduces stress and increases productivity. Motivation shouts. Discipline whispers. Motivation says, let's change our life today. Discipline says, let's repeat this small habit today. Over time, the whisper becomes stronger than the shout. Another reason discipline is more powerful is because it builds self-trust. Every time you promise yourself something and keep that promise, your confidence grows. When you say you will wake up early and you actually do it, you respect yourself more. When you say you will finish a task and you complete it, your identity strengthens. But when you break promises to yourself repeatedly, your confidence weakens. You begin to doubt your own words. Discipline repairs that relationship. It proves to you that you are reliable. A strong comeback requires reliability. You must become someone who shows up even when it is inconvenient. Because challenges do not wait for you to feel motivated. They arrive unexpectedly. Discipline prepares you for those moments. Discipline also protects you from distraction. The modern world is full of entertainment, noise, and temptation. Without discipline, it is easy to lose hours scrolling, watching, or procrastinating. Discipline creates boundaries. It tells you when to focus and when to rest. It does not mean you never relax. It means relaxation is planned, not an escape from responsibility. Many people misunderstand discipline as punishment. They think it means suffering constantly. But real discipline is freedom. When you control your habits do not control you. When you manage your time, time does not manage you. Discipline simplifies life. You know what needs to be done, and you do it. There is less drama, less overthinking, less guilt. There is clarity. The first days of discipline are difficult. Your mind resists structure. It looks for comfort. It tries to negotiate. But if you persist, discipline becomes part of your identity. It stops feeling forced and starts feeling natural. At that point, progress accelerates. You no longer depend on emotional highs to act. You no longer collapse during emotional lows. You move steadily forward. Small improvements stack on top of each other. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into visible transformation. People who see your results may think you are extremely motivated. They do not realize that on many days you did not feel motivated at all. You simply followed your system. You honored your commitments. You respected your routine. This is why discipline wins. It creates action regardless of mood. It builds momentum regardless of obstacles. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement through repetition. When discipline becomes stronger than your excuses, your comeback becomes inevitable. Complaining feels natural when life becomes difficult. When plans fail, when people disappoint you, when opportunities seem unfairly distributed, the easiest reaction is to talk about it, to explain why things are not working, to point out who is responsible, to describe how circumstances are against you. In the moment, complaining gives emotional relief. It makes you feel heard. It makes you feel justified. But complaining does not create progress. It creates comfort inside weakness. When you complain, you focus on what you cannot control. You repeat the problem again and again in your mind. You strengthen frustration instead of strengthening solutions. The more you talk about what is wrong, the more powerless you begin to feel. Improvement works in the opposite direction. Improvement asks a different question. Not, why is this happening to me? But, what can I do about it? That single shift in thinking changes your entire direction. Life is not designed to be fair. Some people start with more advantages. Some have better education, stronger networks, more support. If you spend your time comparing your starting point to someone else's, you waste the only thing that truly belongs to you, your effort. Complaining transfers responsibility away from you. Improvement brings responsibility back to you. And responsibility is power. When you accept that your progress depends mainly on your actions, you regain control. You may not control the economy, other people's opinions, or unexpected setbacks, but you control your response. Every challenge carries two options. You can react emotionally and complain, or you can respond intelligently and improve. The first option feels easier. The second option builds strength. When something does not work, instead of blaming, analyze. If your business is failing, study the market. If your exam results are poor, change your study method. If your skills are weak, practice more deliberately. Improvement is practical. It focuses on action. Complaining is repetitive. Improvement is constructive. There is also a hidden danger in constant complaining. It becomes part of your identity. You start seeing yourself as unlucky, misunderstood, or limited by circumstances. Once this identity forms, you unconsciously search for evidence to support it. Every difficulty becomes proof that you are a victim. Improvement destroys that identity. It forces you to see yourself as capable. When you take action and see small results, your confidence grows. You begin to understand that progress is possible. Even slow progress feels empowering. Another problem with complaining is that it drains energy. Negative conversations consume mental strength. You replay events, imagine arguments, and create scenarios in your head. By the time you finish complaining, you feel exhausted. That exhaustion reduces your ability to work on real solutions. Improvement, on the other hand, creates energy. When you learn a new skill, complete a task, or solve a problem, you feel momentum. Momentum builds motivation naturally. Instead of feeling stuck, you feel active. It is important to understand that accepting reality does not mean agreeing with it. You can acknowledge that a situation is unfair without allowing it to stop you. Acceptance simply means you see things clearly. Clarity allows strategy. Complaining keeps you emotional. Strategy requires calm thinking. When you shift from complaining to improving, you also change the way people perceive you. People are attracted to those who focus on solutions. They trust individuals who take responsibility. Over time, opportunities flow toward those who show resilience instead of excuses. Improvement often begins with small adjustments. Waking up earlier, reading instead of scrolling, practicing instead of postponing, asking for feedback instead of defending mistakes. These actions may seem minor, but repeated daily, they transform your direction. The truth is simple. Nobody is coming to rescue you. Waiting for perfect conditions wastes time. The sooner you accept that growth is your responsibility, the faster your progress begins. Every complaint can be converted into a plan. If you say, I don't have enough resources, ask how to maximize the resources you have. If you say, nobody supports me, focus on becoming so skilled that support becomes unnecessary. If you say, I am behind, create a schedule that moves you forward consistently. Improvement does not require dramatic changes overnight. It requires honest evaluation and steady correction. It requires humility to admit weaknesses and courage to fix them. When you stop complaining, you free your mind from negativity. When you start improving, you build evidence that change is possible. Over time, that evidence becomes confidence. That confidence becomes discipline. That discipline becomes transformation. And transformation is what creates a comeback strong enough to surprise everyone who once heard you complain and now sees you progressing relentlessly. Many people chase attention before they build ability. They want recognition, followers, applause, and status. They want people to notice them, respect them, talk about them. But attention without value is temporary. It fades quickly because there is nothing strong underneath to support it. If you truly want a comeback that shocks everyone, you must focus on becoming valuable, not famous. Fame is external. Value is internal. Fame depends on other people's opinions. Value depends on your skills, your mindset, your character, and your contribution. Fame can disappear with one mistake, one trend change, or one shift in public interest. Value remains because it is rooted in what you can actually do. When you become valuable, you solve problems, you improve systems, you help others grow, you create results. This makes you useful, and usefulness is powerful. The world always makes space for people who bring solutions. Instead of asking, how can I get more attention? Ask, how can I become better? Instead of trying to look successful, focus on being competent. Competence builds quiet confidence. It does not need to announce itself. Many people are busy building an image. They want to appear intelligent, talented, or wealthy. But image without substance creates pressure. You constantly have to maintain it. You worry about what others think. You fear being exposed. When you focus on value, you focus on growth. You spend time learning. You practice deliberately. You improve your communication. You strengthen your discipline. Over time, your ability becomes undeniable. Opportunities do not chase noise. They chase value. If you are skilled, people will seek you. If you are reliable, people will trust you. If you consistently deliver quality, people will recommend you. Recognition becomes a side effect, not a goal. There is also freedom in focusing on value. When you are not obsessed with being seen, you can work quietly. You can experiment, fail, and adjust without pressure. You measure yourself by improvement, not applause. Becoming valuable requires patience. It takes time to develop skills deeply. It takes repetition to master something. It takes humility to accept feedback and refine your approach. But this slow process builds a strong foundation. Think about any respected professional. A great doctor, engineer, entrepreneur, or athlete is respected because of ability. Their reputation comes from consistent performance. They did not wake up famous. They built competence day after day. When you invest in yourself, you are increasing your market value. The more skills you have, the more adaptable you become. The more adaptable you are, the less you fear change. This confidence allows you to take risks calmly. Value also creates leverage. If you bring something important to the table, you have options. You are not desperate for approval or opportunity. You can choose wisely because you know you contribute something meaningful. Focusing on fame can make you impatient. You start comparing yourself to others. You look at their recognition and feel behind. But comparison distracts from improvement. It steals energy that could be used for growth. Focusing on value makes you competitive with only one person who you were yesterday. Each day becomes about sharpening your skills a little more. Reading one more page, practicing one more hour, learning one new lesson. Over time, these small investments compound. What once felt difficult becomes natural. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable. You become someone who delivers results consistently. When you reach that level, recognition may come. People may notice your work. They may admire your progress. But by then, recognition will not control you. You will understand that the real reward was the growth itself. Value builds respect that lasts. Fame often builds attention that fades. If your goal is only to be seen, you may sacrifice depth for visibility. But if your goal is to be valuable, you will build depth first, and depth sustains long-term success. Your comeback will shock everyone not because you demanded attention, but because you quietly increased your worth. You studied when others distracted themselves. You practiced when others talked. You refined your craft when others chased quick popularity. When people finally notice you, they will think you appeared suddenly. They will not see the years of learning, the hours of effort, the discipline behind the scenes. But you will know that instead of chasing fame, you chased growth. Instead of seeking applause, you built ability. Instead of focusing on how you looked, you focused on what you could do. And that quiet investment in becoming truly valuable is what makes success sustainable and your transformation undeniable. Consistency is the invisible force behind every shocking transformation. Talent may attract attention, intelligence may create ideas, and motivation may spark beginnings. But consistency is what carries everything to the finish line. When people are surprised by someone's comeback, it is almost never because of a single dramatic action. It is because of what that person did repeatedly while others stopped. Most people underestimate the power of showing up every day. They believe results come from intensity, from big efforts done occasionally. But life rewards those who are steady. Small actions done daily create momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress compounds into transformation. Consistency removes randomness from success. When you act only when you feel inspired, your growth is unpredictable. Some weeks you move forward, other weeks you disappear. But when you act consistently, progress becomes inevitable. Even slow steps move you ahead when taken every day. This is what shocks people. They remember the old version of you who tried and stopped, started and quit, dreamed and delayed. When they see you months or years later, steady, confident, and capable, they cannot connect the two versions. They assume something magical happened. They do not realize it was discipline applied daily. Consistency builds trust with yourself. Each day you keep a promise, your self-respect grows. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gives up. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes. This identity change is powerful. Once you believe you are consistent, acting consistently becomes easier. Consistency also sharpens skills. Skill is not built through rare bursts of effort. It is built through repetition. Writing every day makes you a better communicator. Practicing daily improves precision. Studying regularly deepens understanding. The brain adapts to repetition. What once felt difficult becomes natural. People often quit because results are not immediate. They confuse consistency with quick feedback. But consistency is about trusting delayed rewards. It is about understanding that effort today may not show results tomorrow, but it will show results eventually. Those who stop early never experience this payoff. They stay close to the starting line. Those who continue past them quietly. Consistency also protects you during difficult times. Motivation fades when life becomes stressful. Emotions fluctuate. Energy drops. But a consistent system carries you forward even on bad days. You do not need to feel strong. You just need to follow your routine. This is why consistency is more important than intensity. Intensity burns fast. Consistency burns long. When you act consistently, you remove drama from progress. There is less overthinking, less waiting, less emotional decision making. You simply do what needs to be done. This simplicity creates stability. Consistency compounds in ways people cannot see. One extra hour of learning each day does not feel dramatic, but over a year it becomes hundreds of hours. One healthy habit practiced daily changes your body slowly, then suddenly. One disciplined choice repeated becomes a lifestyle. This compounding effect is what creates the shock factor. People see the final outcome, not the accumulation. They miss the daily repetitions that made the outcome possible. Consistency also filters people. Many start with you. Few stay. As time passes, those who quit fall away. Those who remain grow stronger. When you stay consistent, you automatically separate yourself from the majority. This creates confidence without arrogance. You do not need to announce your work. You know what you have put in. That quiet certainty changes how you speak, how you move, how you decide. Another powerful effect of consistency is adaptability. When you show up regularly, you notice what works and what does not. You adjust, you refine, you improve systems. Inconsistent effort never lasts long enough to teach lessons. Consistent effort teaches wisdom. People who are consistent also develop patience. They stop rushing outcomes. They focus on execution. They understand that progress is a process, not an event. Over time, consistency reshapes your environment. Opportunities appear because you are prepared. People trust you because you are reliable. Doors open because you have evidence of effort, not promises. When others see the result, they think you are lucky. They think you changed suddenly. They do not realize that while they were distracted, you were repeating the basics. While they searched for shortcuts, you stayed on the path. Consistency does not seek attention. It does not announce itself. It works quietly until results become impossible to ignore. That is why consistency creates shock. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. It transforms average beginnings into powerful endings. It makes improvement permanent instead of temporary. When you stay consistent long enough, success stops being a question. It becomes a matter of time.